Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content, help you answer the question, when will Martin Scorsese stop trolling these comic book fanboys? Not anytime soon. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Hopefully he doesn't. I love it. So good.
Keep the comic books out your damn mouth. I don't know. It's crazy.
Haven't us comic book fans got it hard enough?
Yeah.
Our movies are all number one at the box office most of the time. How dare he?
Well, not this year. They're not number one.
Yeah, good.
They're dying, you know? It's picking on us when we're all dying. It's interesting. It has been interesting, you know, like, obviously you had the big profile coming out this week, and just everybody picking apart anything they could be wrong with.
He wouldn't usually do. I feel like he's doing more press because no actors can.
Yes, probably.
So he's doing more
in the lead
interviews.
up to Killer Moon. Yeah.
Yes. So he's doing these like long form things. Like, was that the Vulture thing? No, I can't remember. Was it? I don't know. It was something like that, like a retrospective. I want to watch the full thing. I've only seen the clips on Twitter. I definitely want to watch the full thing. But I feel like usually that sort of video is actors looking back on their most famous roles.
Yeah.
They usually do it. Like, I feel like he wouldn't be doing as many interviews and stuff at the moment if they had Leo. And
really, I don't think Leo doesn't really do much press either. So
how about Bob? Bob does.
Yeah, or stick Jesse Plemons, or
those people do. So
yeah,
I feel like he's definitely doing more because of that, though.
Absolutely. And he's taking every opportunity to talk shit about it.
I don't feel he's talking shit.
It was a GQ profile. That's what everybody's picking apart. So, yeah.
I don't think he said. I know. Is this actually a news story, or do you want to talk about it now?
No, this isn't a news story.
All right. Well, my 2 cents on this. Everyone again got upset over nothing.
Yes,
he got upset. Last time he said these sorts of things, people got upset for some reason. They have no reason to be upset currently.
Because they're super defensive.
Last time, they have no reason to be defensive. I don't think he says anything that's wrong. All he's doing is saying, like, I don't even feel like he's talking bad about superhero movies. He's just talking about how, like, it's a bubble and they're not, like, he's not saying superhero movies are bad. He's just saying that if people only go to the movies to watch superhero movies, it's just a bubble that's going to burst, and it's not actually good for cinema. You know.
All right, on today's episode, we'll talk about what's in our watch history, go over some film news, give some tons of trailers, and give you this week's top 3. I'll kick things off. Last night, I was at a screening of one of our most anticipated films of the year, The Creator, directed by Gareth Edwards, whose last film was Rogue One. Before that was Godzilla. It's like 7 years since Rogue One, which is crazy. It's like one of the most exciting young directors, I guess, coming through in a period on big budget
Just before you continue, I've got a quick question, and I presume I know the answer to this, but you've never seen Monster, right?
No, I've not seen Monster.
Or Monsters, or whatever the hell
Monsters.
Yeah. Because this, to me, from the get-go, the moment I began reading about and hearing he was doing this, I was like, cool, he's back to his roots. Because his roots were, I remember reading about that film, and I was so fucking excited to watch it. Reading about this film, it's like a director with a visual effects background just sent out and fucking made a movie and did all the effects himself. And like, I remember reading about it just thinking this thing is going to be like such the coolest sounding, like, sort of grassroots thing. And then everyone's been talking about this movie when the first screenings happened in America last week, talking about how it's that same sort, like, it's bigger budget, but it's him doing that again. Like, he's back to that sort of thing. So anyway, you should go watch that movie. It's very good.
Okay. So this one stars John David Washington, Gemma Chan, Ken Watanabe, Sturgill Simpson, and Alison Janney in a against type role, as well as newcomer Madeline Univolas. So John David Washington plays a former Special Forces agent who, so it's set in the future in a world in which robots have been developed. Advanced AI technology has been built. They've gotten to the point where they've got like synths, I guess, who are robots with human faces and that kind of stuff, with like hollow heads and that kind of stuff. And then AI. It's believed that AI set off a nuclear bomb in Los Angeles. And then from that point, there's a war between America and the AI and New Asia, who don't think there's anything wrong with the AI and like are kind of harboring them, letting them live peacefully amongst them. So those two factions are at war. John David Washington plays Joshua, a special forces agent for the United States, who goes undercover in New Asia to try and find Namata, who is who is regarded by the AI technology as the creator, as the I don't know, as a holy figure. And he's tasked to try and find Namata, but that undercover mission goes pear-shaped, resulting in the death of his wife and a whole bunch of other stuff. Cut forward like 5 years, and the US government recruit him again to try and find this big weapon that they think the AI is developing, that would take out all they've got this massive orbital spaceship called Nomad, which is like, coming out of the movie, it's a fucking Death Star. It's like you can drop missiles anywhere. It's like big, massive, like targeting, like it's a Death Star crossed with the helicarrier kind of thing. It's what happened if Hydra won at the end of Mission Captain America: The Winter Soldier, that kind of thing. Yeah, Joshua was recruited to go on a mission to find this weapon. Turns out the weapon is a robot child, and then things happen. It turns into the genre that we all love. Reluctant man travels child across the country. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It is a visually super impressive film. Obviously, him teaming back up with Greg Fraser, as well as Oren Sofa. It is one of the most visually interesting and unique movies. Well, maybe not unique. It is one of the best looking movies this year, I think. Definitely deserves to be watched on the big screen. Obviously, there is so much practical elements of this movie. Like, obviously, they're shot in Cambodia and that kind of stuff. So you got like the Asian countryside and that kind of stuff. Like lots of really impressive sets. Apparently, they shot inside like some like high end like supercomputer facility for that kind of stuff. But then all the robot elements are like really cool, and like, well, they're not all the same. They've got different variants of different robots, and that's all really cool. Yeah, there's just a lot of ideas thrown in here. A lot of it's a very, very interesting world that I feel you don't get enough time to live in or experience, because it is only a 2-hour, 15-minute movie, and the world is there, but you're also got focused on this solo story of this man just kind of seeking redemption, or like that kind of stuff. But that's really good. It's just like, maybe we're at the point where we're like super greedy and like want more of everything. That's kind of my reaction coming out of it. But yeah, I found it super engaging. John David Washington's fantastic. The little kid is really good in her performance. Yeah, Alison Janney plays like a general who's part of like the special forces unit. Very against type. Like, when you think of Alison Janney, you think of in my mind, I think Juno, or her sitcom work on Mum, or I don't know, her on The West Wing. But this is like, it's like she's playing the Stephen Lang role from Avatar. Really, it's kind of weird, but also really cool. But yeah, there's a lot of ideas that are introduced. They do a really good job of like getting you up to speed at the start of the movie. I think that's like super impressive. Like the way they kind of like build up the world like in like 5-10 minutes of like you explaining the history of everything. and getting to the point of starting the movie. It just kind of feels rushed in the third act. Would be my major criticism, which I've seen from other places as well. Yeah, it just kind of ends kind of quickly. I feel like in my perfect world, it would have ended just before the third act, and we would get a second film. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think fantastic visual feast. It needs to be seen on the big screen. The only other critique, there's like some weird audio cues, which is there's like at one point they used like a licensed song that kind of, at least for me and Buddy, it kind of pulled us out of the movie, which is really weird because the film is scored by Hans Zimmer. So I'm not sure why that song needed to be used at that point. It didn't really add anything, and it was like kind of mixed in a weird way. At least in my screening. Maybe it was an issue with the screening, but I can't imagine how it could be. But yeah, I think really interesting ideas, really engaging performances. Yeah, I don't think it's wholly original. It's like kind of a beautiful melting pot of different ideas from different properties and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would highly recommend checking it out. Do you have any questions about the creator?
No, I'm watching it tonight, so.
All right, very exciting.
We'll be there. What's time now? I'll be there in about 5.5 hours.
Okay, good.
Come on.
Yeah, it's definitely one I'm excited to see, have people see, and we can talk about it because yeah, there's a lot of interesting concepts and ideas, and yeah,
I'm very keen. I really like Gareth Edwards, and like, the fact he's taken so long to make another film after Rogue One, I was like, fuck, just come on, dude. But
yeah, and like something like very original, like like not based on anything, which is like very very uncommon at this scale.
I've loved all the trailers for this. I've been very keen to watch it, so keen.
All right. So I watched the documentary, the Academy Award nominated documentary, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, which focuses on the photographer, artist, and activist Nan Goldin. So she was a very prominent figure in the the art world of New York City during the the 80s, 90s. But she had issues with opioids later in life. She managed to get over them, but then has kind of joined this vendetta against the Sackler family, who are behind the pharmaceutical company that like produced a lot of the opioids.
We've talked about this before.
I mean, everything comes back to this family and this in Oxycontin and that kind of stuff. So she's part of this organization called Pain, who are like very against the Sacklers, but mostly what they do is they go to different museums and galleries and that kind of stuff and like stage protests and like kind of raise awareness about how these institutions are taking money from the Sackler family, putting their names up on wings, and kind of like it's kind of like art washing, I guess would be the term, if sports washing is the term they use, like the Saudis like using money to make themselves look good by investing in sport. And yeah, they'd kind of stage these dramatic like things. Like there's one inside the Met, I want to say off the top of my head, where it's like they throw like a bunch of prescriptions or fake prescriptions out like over the 10 stories, the giant closet. I don't know. There's like a section where like they'd throw up a bunch of prescriptions and all the prescriptions like kind of float down, and like it looks cool for social media and that kind of stuff. And then obviously they like stage like everybody's dead and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it also goes over her career and like how she came to be prominent, all the people in her movement, and like how she was like she was doing art shows in support of like AIDS, people with AIDS and that kind of stuff. So yeah, Nan Goldin, really interesting person, and like she's got a really interesting backstory. And also, fuck the Sackler family is like the general gist of it. Yeah, and they kind of hit hard home to like how this family is pretty much getting away with murdering millions and millions of people with their drugs and that kind of stuff. But they can take these small victories of like not letting them like plaster their name everywhere and that kind of stuff. So very interesting documentary. I would recommend checking it out. That is currently playing on Doc Play. And then I watched Sitting in Bars with Cake. So this is a film over on Prime Video starring Yara Shahidi and Odessa Azion as two young women who move to Los Angeles. Corinne and Jane. Corinne works at a like music label, trying to get different label stuff done. I don't know, like promotions, trying to work way up the company. Jane is kind of an introvert. She works in the mailroom, in between jobs, and like telling her family that she's going to go to law school. She's just saving up money and like trying to figure out where she wants to go and that kind of stuff. So Corinne comes up with the idea to let Jane make. Jane is very into baking, so Corinne's like, "Hey, let's just go to bars and bring cake. You make a cake, we'll bring it to bars, and we'll do it for a whole year and see if they can get you a boyfriend or whatever." So yeah, they go about that. Unfortunately, halfway through this experiment, Corinne starts to she gets cancer. So then it becomes a cancer story. I found it like it's not the best cancer movie I've ever seen, but it is quite like endearing and enjoyable. Like I found the characters.
It's not the best cancer movie I've ever seen.
That's a 50-50. I love 50-50.
Okay.
But yeah, I found it enjoyable and like I really connected with the characters and like just these young people kind of being struck down by this disease and like the struggle of trying to fight this disease while also trying to live like a normal-ish life and balance that kind of stuff was really interesting to watch. And like there's her family unit as well who are from out of state and that kind of stuff, and like yeah, it was an interesting watch. Not high on my list so far this year, but yeah, that one's playing on Prime Video. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you finished watching Sex Education Season 4. I have not started yet, so give me your spoiler-free thoughts on how you feel the season concluded.
All right, full spoilers. They all died by the end.
Oh no! Was it dehydration from all the wanking? Filling a bunch of cylinders. Right?
Sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like all these sorts of shows, some people some people are just gonna hate it because not all the characters are gonna end up the way they want them to, and there's always gonna be that. Well, fuck, there's still like so much room for another season, and there's just gonna be all these sorts of things. But I definitely feel like for the most part, the majority of the characters got very good endings for this show, and especially a show that was about teenagers growing up to become adults. You know what I mean? For the most part, like we're not going to follow them through until they're fucking 80. At a certain stage, you got to let the characters go. And yeah, there was some really surprising characters that got way more time and like such interesting arcs that I wouldn't have guessed, especially if you went back to the first season. And some others that I feel like didn't get enough time, but it's hard to say about spoilers. But yeah, obviously I talked about last week. I was enjoying it. Still enjoyed it right through to the end, but it's definitely a bittersweet ending because it's that whole thing of that's it, we're done, no more sex education.
Yeah. All right. So I watched Love at First Sight. So this is a romantic comedy starring Haley Lou Richardson and Ben Hardy. Haley Lou Richardson plays Hadley, a 20-something from America going to London to attend her father's second wedding. Unfortunately, she has a habit of being late and not charging her phone, which becomes a prominent feature. Meanwhile, Ben Hardy plays Oliver, who's a British maths student, very into statistics and the very opposite of being very unpunctual and prepared for a future and that kind of stuff. And they by chance meet in the airport, and then a series of events kind of force them to be sitting next to each other in first class for the plane trip to London. And yeah, it's love at first sight, kind of. It's a story about fate and love and that kind of stuff. I found they're very charming. It's a very charming movie. Yeah, the two leads are really good. It does take an interesting turn at one point when it's revealed what Oliver is going back to London for. And yeah, it did go in directions that I didn't think it would go in. Because obviously, some of the advertising was the big turning point is Oliver gives his phone number to her as they're going through customs. But wouldn't you know it, her phone goes dead and she doesn't save the phone number. So how are they going to find each other again? And you think that's going to be the rest of the movie? They're not going to see each other until the very end. That would be what you would expect for this kind of movie, right? That's not the direction this goes. So I was pleasantly surprised by that because I feel like they've got really good chemistry and that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to wait an entire film to see them back together again. The only other thing is Jamil is in this as the narrator / a figure of fate who constantly is pushing these two towards each other. So he just pops up as the air hostess or cab driver or that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sounds like a very Valentine's Day Hallmark movie.
Yeah, kind of, but that love is for any time of the year, Dylan, is what I think.
No. It's only October, it's only time for Halloween.
No. Fill your October with love this season.
No, fill it with blood.
Don't need anything scary. Just,
love is scary, Ash. What are you talking about?
Wow. It's deep. Let's do a love horror movie.
Feel that one right inside you,
Oh. Alright. I then watched the second season of the Murdaugh Murders. Yeah, A Southern Scandal. So
oh wait, I watched the first episode of this. I forgot to check in.
Okay.
I watched something.
So it's surprising because obviously the first season released back in February.
Yes.
But then the trial actually occurred. And that's pretty much what this second season covers. It covers the events of the trial, interviews with a few more key witnesses, including I'm guessing people they couldn't interview before the trial, otherwise they would have
there's
messed with the
you can't
you're not
witness tampering
or whatever.
The trial needs to be free,
whatever. The jury needs to be non-influenced by outside stuff. So, but yeah, definitely continues to paint that the Murdaugh dude killed his family. They provide a lot of evidence as to why it seems that way. Even early on, the police I'm pretty sure this guy just killed his family. It's that's the only explanation. But yeah, it definitely goes into detail explaining following the court case and that kind of stuff. So, what did you think after one episode?
I was enjoying the one episode. I definitely was wait. I saw it pop up on Netflix and I was wait, didn't this just come out 2 months ago?
Yeah,
it's sort of crazy, but getting into the trial, it's got a different pace and everything to the first season because obviously I feel the first season focuses mostly around the kid up until the last couple episodes. But
it kind of focuses on the boat accident.
The boat thing is what hooks you in, and you think the whole show is going to be about that. But then yeah, obviously you get into the stuff with the dad, and like obviously we're spoiling the first season, but then the kid who the boat accident, he's killed. So yeah, and then all that sort of stuff. So yeah, keen to keep watching it. How many episodes? It's only like 3 episodes, isn't it?
3 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, so I only got 2 there.
They're all reasonably short. I want to say like
The first one was like
30
minutes
each.
Whatever, so.
Yeah. All right. And then I also watched the documentary "The Saint of Second Chances." So this is a documentary about this Mark Vick. So he's the son of a former MLB franchise owner, Bill Vick, who had like a Hall of Fame career as an owner, much beloved, like helped bring the game to become the heights that it did. Bill Vick buys the Chicago White Sox, and he tells his son Mike that he wants him to come on board as part of the team, and help him run the Chicago White Sox. So he becomes part of the marketing team. He does a bunch of odd jobs. The documentary is interviews with Mark Vick, but then it's also flashbacks in which Mark Vick is played by Charlie Day. So you get Charlie Day around baseball places and that kind of stuff. So the big turning point is Mike Vick holds. So one of the big draws is like theme days for baseball games and that kind of stuff. So they had like a disco day, and that was a big event. But apparently at the time, there was a very heavy anti-disco movement. So like, hey, let's have a disco sucks night. So they have like a bunch of people come into to the stadium who hate disco. They can come in for $1 if they bring in a disco record to get destroyed. Was the promotion. So now the stadium is filled with like 20,000 anti-disco hooligans, who get riled up by a local radio presenter who's like a big deal in Chicago, or whatever, against disco. In the end, they all end up storming the field between matches. Apparently, it's like a doubleheader, and this is like a massive farce across the competition. And like from that point, Bill Vick retires, sells the team. Mike Vick gets fired, and doesn't get a shot in baseball again till like 6 years later, when he gets hired to work in the independent baseball scene. So he works on, I can't forget what the team is called. So he starts working for an independent baseball team called the St. Paul Saints, who are like tiny team. The baseball field is next to a train track, but he starts like promotion and like starts to get the team off the tracks. Like starts to make him a big deal, like him to the extent where like they had Bill Murray becomes a prominent feature and comes in and does different things every now and then. At one point, they had Darryl Strawberry as part of the team. In between his like massive drug stints, he was a big. I don't know Darryl Strawberry that much. All I know, he was in that one episode of The Simpsons when they were playing baseball. But yeah, it follows his career and like how he went from like the darkest day in his life to like falling back in love with baseball, and like also dealing with his family and his 2 kids. One of his children who does get diagnosed with like a medical issue, and like how that affects him and like his plans and that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, really interesting movie. Really interesting dude. I'll leave you with this last bit of information. He has 1 son. He names his son Night Train.
Like 1 word or?
No, 2 words.
Just to clarify, you know?
Yeah, just to clarify. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, that's the kind of dude he was. So definitely worth checking out on Netflix. The Saint of Second Chances. Really interesting documentary. before I forget, I want to talk about Heels.
Not
Second
thinking, yeah.
season came out. Season finale came out. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good season finale. Obviously, the show has since been cancelled, which is a real bummer because it does end on a cliffhanger. I guess you could consider it like a series finale, but it's like a very dark season finale. Series finale like leaves it in a terrible place. But yeah, it's been interesting to see kind of the reaction to the show being cancelled and like everybody kind of like jumping on Stephen Amell because obviously he made remarks early on in the strike and that kind of stuff. It promoted the show when he probably shouldn't have. Which now that we see like it was very much a show very much on the bubble. You understand why he might have been motivated in that way, but you also got to remember there's a bunch of other cast members and writers and that kind of stuff who were on the show as well, like who are now all fired. So
I mean, you can make the argument all you want that the show, like if you want to, you can live in reality and you can go through, anyone that worked on the show can go through life saying, oh, if it wasn't for the strike, then it wouldn't have got cancelled because we would have been able to promote it. But the fact is, the first season, if you look at numbers, didn't do that well either. So it's not like, like it was just on. It was just scraping in for the second season. And yeah, you can say the strike affected it, but ultimately, as much as I like this show, it's nothing mind blowing, and the strike's more important than Heels. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of, it is disappointing seeing the number of shows that have also been cancelled during this period. Like, just because it seems like we're on the cusp of it all ending. So I mean, that's what kind of hurts more, I guess. And also the decision being made so quickly.
The Drew Barrymore thing. People have been like, she just needed to wait a week.
Yeah. All right. So that's everything I watched this trip. Let's move into the film news. And yeah, so the big news. The WGA strike is officially ended at midnight as guild leaders approved tentative deal. Reading from Deadline, the writers' strike will be officially over at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. Writers can then return to work with the ramification process plays out. If, on the off chance that the members reject the tentative agreement that is worked out on Sunday, the strike will start back up again. The strike will be the longest in the guild's history, surpassing the 150-day strike of 1988. Here is the latest message from the negotiating team sent to members. As we reported on Sunday, the WGA reached a tentative agreement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers on a new 3-year minimum basic agreement. Today, our negotiating committee, the WGAW board and WGAE board, all voted unanimously to recommend the agreement. It will now go to both the guild's membership for a ratification vote. Eligible voters will receive ballot and materials for the vote, which will take place from October 2nd to October 9th. So yeah, it looks like the writer's strike is coming to an end.
Officially. In time for the game actors to start.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this doesn't mean that the actors aren't on strike anymore. They are. They still haven't come to an agreement, but it seems like the AMTP is going to make... they're pretty confident there'll be some sort of negotiation sometime in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, finally, good moves. And it seems like if they're agreeing to this deal, a lot of the things that they wanted, like protections against AI and writers' rooms and that kind of stuff, like it was all kind of addressed at the very least. And like maybe they didn't get everything they wanted, but
fine, we'll let real people write things.
Yeah, we'll let people actually do stuff. It's crazy. And credit them and that kind of stuff. So
I know what I saw talking about AI just quickly. I don't know I can't remember what it was from, but there's like something that Bloomberg or someone put up today, some AI thing that like just like they've like put a bunch of someone like was delving into the files and it looks like this AI thing that they've set up. They've just like got a bunch of torrents of books and just put and fed that into the AI system. And now all these authors are like, I didn't like authorize you to use my book to feed this AI. Like, why do you think that's so? Yeah,
you didn't even buy it.
Didn't even buy it. Like, so the AI stuff continues.
Yeah. AI technology is stealing and stealing. But yeah, it's exciting. Will it make a major, huge impact immediately? Probably not. As they've been reported, probably the first thing that's going to come back is like the late night shows and the talk shows like the Drew Barrymore show coming back, not with actors and that kind of stuff promoting stuff, but at least talking about the news and promoting other stuff. So that at least will be a bunch of people getting back to work and that kind of stuff and being able to pay for things. So that's exciting. Maybe we get more writers on the promotional trail for these movies. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully this means this has all come to an end.
I was looking for a bunch of, I was going through and fixing up some podcast stuff today, and I was going through a bunch of the old What Do You Want to Watch episodes, right? And the funniest thing that occurred to me when I was looking through them all and just seeing the descriptions was there was we've been doing this show for how many years? 4 or 5 years, and half the episodes are either talking about a strike or COVID.
Yeah.
There is several years of, hey man, there's no movies coming out because of COVID, and now half this year's been just talking about the strikes.
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
Yeah, at least we don't have to worry about this for another 3 years. So.
I know, it's just so funny. I was looking through, I was like, holy fuck! So many episodes. I mean, such a big part of this show's history is just marred by shit shutting down Hollywood and cinemas and stuff. It's funny.
Yeah. All right. Viewers of landmark series on Prime Video like The Boys or Marvelous Mrs. Maisel will soon be offered something never made available on the service before: TV commercials. Amazon Prime Video, one of the last mainstream services to eschew from the injection of regular commercial breaks into its movies and shows, plans to start letting them run early next year. Warner Brothers follows a host of other streaming hubs, including Disney Plus, Netflix, and Warner Brothers Discovery's Max, that also offered ad-supported titles, a move that suggests the world of streaming may just eventually mirror the world of traditional television in the not-too-distant future. The company says its plans to run fewer ads on Amazon Prime Video than traditional broadcasters or broadband rivals. 4 minutes per hour seems to be a benchmark for the lowest amount of ad time on a streaming platform. The commercials will first appear in the US, UK, Germany, and Canada in early 2024, followed by France, Italy, Spain, Mexico, and Australia later in the year. Those who want to keep Amazon Prime Video ad-free can still do so for an additional $2.9 per month in the US on top of the annual subscription to Amazon's overall Prime service. Dylan, here's my take. I don't think this is a big deal. You get so much value with your Prime subscription. An extra $5 to get ad-free Prime videos, I don't think is too much of an ask, or to watch a couple of minutes of ads. Am I in the minority here?
You're crazy. This is an outrage. Okay. I think we need to get our pitchforks out.
Okay.
This is bullshit. I can't do this. You're telling me that, I have to pay an extra couple dollars for the streaming service when I was already paying for the thing just to get free shipping? I can't do that. Yeah, it's unacceptable value. No, look, Amazon's a pretty shitty company, but I definitely feel like Prime's definitely worth the value, and an extra $5 is nothing for what it is. Especially in the way that I presume you use most of its features like I do, which is, I got Twitch, I use that feature. Yeah. I use the shipping, and that pays for itself.
Twitch probably helping keep your exposure network alive.
Yeah, so that and that. I have to buy a couple things a year, and the shipping already gets back to the $50 or whatever. Covers it pretty quickly. And then you add in the fact that you get the streaming service. I've always thought it's pretty good value. So this is not an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what people want. I mean, I understand having to pay more for something you already have. But the rate that Amazon is investing in Prime Video and the amount of content that they're putting out, series and shows and movies and that kind of stuff, I think it justifies, the increase. At least it's just not we're raising the price because we can. It's like, hey, we're giving you the option. You can pay more, or you can like have to deal with ads. You know. So, yeah, look forward to that later next year. Plan accordingly. Last bit of interesting news is the latest endeavor by the Golden Globes to become relevant again. The Golden Globes will introduce 2 new categories to its upcoming January broadcast. Variety has learned exclusively. The categories will honor hit movies with global reach in either box office or streaming views, as well as acknowledge the best performance in a stand-up comedy special. The first prize is the Golden Globe for cinematic and box office achievement. Eligible nominees will be among the year's highest-earning or most-seen feature films that also deliver creative excellence. Titles must have grossed at least $150 million during release, $100 million of which must have come from domestic box office. Streaming films with commensurate viewership will be considered based on data from recognized industry sources, the Globe said. 8 films will be eligible for the prize and can also compete for the categories like Best Motion Picture Drama or Comedy as long as they meet criteria for those fields. The second new category, Best Performance in a Stand-Up Comedy on Television, recognizes outstanding work from a comic in a traditional stand-up format or as a breakout comic in a troupe or ensemble. Comedy specials airing on a broadcast basic or premium cable, streaming, and pay-per-view cable will be considered. Projects must have a recognized distributor, and individual social media accounts will not be eligible. Dylan, what did you think of this move by the Golden Globes?
I don't feel like it's too for what they've been trying to do where we were like there was a stage where like everyone was trying to not get any of the streaming stuff nominated, right?
Yeah.
Like Golden Globes wasn't going to play ball, Academy Award wasn't going to play ball. Now they've I feel like most of the people are like fiddling down with the rules to make them more applicable. Like the thing is that they're constantly trying to make the it's not they're not trying to keep streaming stuff out because they think none of these places have ever tried to keep streaming stuff out because it's streaming. It's just that how it was affecting everyone else or your normal stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is a big deal.
I mean, it's a clear move to try and get like the biggest movies nominated. You know, which is funny in a year where the biggest movies probably would have been nominated. Like Barbie is going to get nominated in a comedy category. Interstellar? Not Interstellar. Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is going to get nominated in Best Drama. So I think, maybe future-proofing itself. I'm going to have a quick look. What technically would be eligible currently? Like, how many movies are actually eligible under this criteria?
Probably a lot more than you think.
17 movies that have crossed that 100 million mark. So,
yeah.
Look forward to Sound of Freedom being nominated for a Golden Globe. Sound of Freedom and Little Mermaid. All right. Also interesting that they included stand-up comedians. Like, maybe,
I mean,
making that a category.
I've always thought that there was enough that someone should probably do.
Yeah. I mean, we get enough specials every year.
We get enough specials. It's like, why not reward? And it's not just because they put more and more effort. Most people are putting more and more effort into adding, a little bit more production value, be that recording some of those interlude stuff and whatever into their specials nowadays, which isn't exactly a new thing, but like I feel like I see that stuff more now in specials. So why not?
All right, let's move into giving some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. Kicking things off, we've got All of Us Strangers, directed by Andrew Haig, starring Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, and Claire Foy. One night in his near-empty tower block in London, Adam has a chance encounter with the mysterious neighbour Harry, which punctures the rhythm of his everyday life. As a relationship develops between them, Adam is preoccupied with memories of his past and finds himself drawn back to the suburban town where he grew up and the childhood home where his parents appear to be living just as they were on the day they died 30 years before. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
I'm going one up, one down on this one. I've been keen to find out more about this movie as the whatever film festival it was at. It was highly talked about. I like the cast and everything like that, but I did find the trailer to be a little bit just confusing, just not particularly interesting. Like, it's lots of really well shot moments and things and whatever else, but it wouldn't grab me if I wasn't someone who was already like reading about it, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go one up, one down.
Yeah, I agree. I think one up, one down is fair. Yeah, there's a lot there, and very little is explained or alluded to. Yeah, looks like it's an interesting film, obviously with the game romance at the heart of it. That's really cool. But yeah, there's a whole fantastical element to it that is not vibing with the present day love story, or maybe it will when it's actually in the movie. But I don't think it's cut together very well. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So yeah, this is coming to Australian cinemas on the 18th of January. Next trailer. NCIS Sydney, created by Morgan O'Neill, starring Olivia Swan, Todd Lasance, Sean Sager, Tuli Narkle, Maureen Hazel, and William McInnes. With rising international tensions in the Indo-Pacific, a team of US NCIS agents and the Australian Federal Police are grafted into a multinational task force to keep naval crimes in check in the most contested patch of ocean on the planet. Dylan, what do you think of this localization of NCIS?
Double thumbs down. Looks terrible. Absolutely atrocious trailer. There's a moment there where they literally just shoot between shots of a kangaroo on a beach to a koala. Get the fuck out of here. No.
I one down. Give
Because you like
Australian
bad
jobs.
television shows, yeah.
I have absolutely no interest really in watching it. But NCIS is one of those crazy massive.
They bloody locked him in a. They locked him in a thing with a poisonous snake,
They locked
mate.
him in with the most poisonous snake. It's like, oh, welcome to Australia.
Welcome to Australia, mate. That happens all the fucking time.
This is clearly not targeted at an Australian audience. It may not be the best representation of Australia. But it looks pretty. It looks high production value. Really good shots of the harbour, and I did laugh when they do have like a shot of a koala, then they go to something else, and then they have a shot of like a cockatoo, and then a galah. It's very funny. So yeah, this is one up, one down.
So funny. But, so funny.
This is a hit franchise.
Yeah.
Take what you can get. So this is coming to Paramount Plus on the 10th of November. Next trailer is for Fingernails, directed by Christos Nikou, starring Jesse Buckley, Riz Ahmed, Jeremy Allen White, Annie Murphy, and Luke Wilson. Anna and Ryan have found true love, and it's proven by a controversial new technology. But there's one problem, as Anna still isn't sure. Then she takes a position at a love testing institute and meets Amir. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
The funniest thing about this, as someone pointed out in the comments, is the part where they're like, Academy Award nominee, Golden Globe winner, blah, 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 and Luke Wilson. Yeah, I'm going to go double thumbs up on this one. Definitely looks interesting. It sort of does remind me a little bit of, although not quite the same, but does remind me of The Lobster, like the similar like themes and ideas. Not the animal part, but like just picking a partner and like, that's who it is. You got to find someone, like the world working in this sort of weird way. But I mean, it's got a bunch of really great actors in it, and Luke Wilson. So why
are you coming for Luke Wilson like that?
It's just so funny the way they did that. Why'd they do him so dirty like that? Yeah,
what are they going to do? Give him a Critics' Choice Award? Like,
they should have just like put
something.
something in there just to help soften the blow. Because when it just flashes across the screen and everyone's got an award and it just says "and Luke Wilson," surely he's got something. Like, I don't know. Was he nominated for like best employee at Domino's once? I don't know. Like, or just put and American Sweetheart. America's
MTV
favorite.
Movie Award nominee. Yeah.
There you go. An MTV Movie Award nominee. Why not? Fuck it. Just give the man something. Just give him something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what did I say? Really.
You didn't say shit.
I didn't say anything. Yeah. I give him 2 thumbs up. I enjoy the premise. Obviously, fantastic cast. Like, really engaging. I think the title threw me off. I was surprised by the title. Like, going in, I'm like, oh, fingernails. That's clearly going to be a
horror movie.
That's going to be a horror movie. It's like, no, completely different end of the spectrum. But yeah, very wholesome. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good time. So, this one is coming to
that Saw 10 isn't a horror movie either. It's just called. It's actually about a love story as well.
Oh, okay. I'll check that out.
It's actually about a guy trying to survive his cancer.
It's about a guys who are like trying to overcome a botched surgery. Is that what it is?
That's what it's about. Okay. So I would stop judging movies by the titles if I was you.
Okay, well, I'll just keep watching trailers like I usually do. Yeah, so this is coming to Apple TV on the 3rd of November. Next trailer, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial. Directed by William Friedman. Starring Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Clarke, Jake Lacey, Monica Raymond, and Lance Reddick. When a U.S. naval captain shows signs of mental instability that jeopardizes the safety of his ship, the first officer relieves him of command and faces court-martial for mutiny. Greenwald, a skeptic lawyer, reluctantly defends Mark, a officer of the Navy who took control of the vessel while his dominant Captain Queeg was caught in a violent sea storm. Greenwald becomes increasingly concerned as the court-martial proceeds and questions if the Kane were a true mutiny or simply the courageous acts of a group of sailors that could not trust their unstable leader. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer for William Friedman's final film?
Friedman and Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
Crazy, hey. Sort of sad that this is a TV movie, I feel.
Yeah.
Got so many big actors in it, such talent. This is what Mansfield says he's talking about. Years ago, this would have been considered a big movie. You got a bunch of big names.
Well, it would have been a small movie, but
people would have wanted to watch it still.
In cinemas.
Nowadays, this is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. You go, why would I want to watch a bunch of people talking on the cinema screen? No, very keen. I'm double thumbs up for this. Looks really great. I love, like, when you think about some of the greatest films from like I don't know, early 50s through to the 80s, I guess, through to You Can't Handle the Truth, fucking Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, all good men. Yeah.
Few Good Men.
Fuck, what I got it wrong. Yeah, like courtroom drama, these sorts of movies when done right, and they used to be such a big genre, kind of, or at least something of a genre. That entire TV show, Jag.
Yeah.
Come on. So yeah, double thumbs up, Kane.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give this 2 thumbs up as well. I think it looks really interesting. It's crazy that, Jason Clarke, again, playing a lawyer in a prominent thing, This one official, I guess. The other one, not official. But kind of similar role. But yeah, looks really good. Interesting fact, reading up on this movie before. Guillermo del Toro served as backup director on the film for liability reasons. Because obviously,
I think I knew that.
Freeman was a bit older, so so he was there every single day on set, in case he needed to take over or whatever.
Because he's a good guy.
He's a good guy, but also that would have been wild to imagine him having to take over this kind of a film.
Why not?
Which doesn't feel like it's in his wheelhouse at all, but that's cool.
Del Toro does.
But it sounds like for Del Toro, it was like a very cool learning experience as well. So it sounds like from the interviews, he got a lot out of the experience. So
Del Toro is a cultured man of cinema. He would have appreciated being there. Yeah.
Just talking to him about Exorcist probably all the time, I would imagine. So. So this is going to release in the US on Paramount Plus with Showtime on the 6th of October. No confirmed release date here in Australia. Hang on. Last trailer for this week. Dream Scenario. Directed by Christopher Borgli. Starring Nicolas Cage, Julianne Nicholson, Michael Cera, Tim Meadows, Dylan Galua, and Dylan Baker. Hapless family man Paul Matthews finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. But when his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, Paul is forced to navigate his newfound stardom. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer for the new Nicolas Cage film?
Loved it. Double thumbs up. What a wild idea. I don't really know how it's going to all play it out, but I mean, you got Nicolas Cage, you got him just living probably the greatest years of his career. I feel like at the moment he had like his action 80s 90s career, and now he's this last few years he's just been having all these great character pieces and stuff. Resurgence. I absolutely love it. A24, give it to me. Double thumbs up. Very keen. Such a wild idea.
Yeah, there's 2 thumbs up for me as well. Like you said, crazy idea. Interesting way to go at it, where it seems like he's super into the idea of him being in everybody's dreams and is enjoying the new stuff.
He's enjoying the fame.
He's enjoying the fandom.
His wife, at some point in the trailer, says they're not those sorts of people, but very clearly he is.
He's clearly caught up into it, and then, clearly things start to take a turn towards the end. I love like some of the random dream sequences. It's like a lady getting attacked by crocodiles, and he just walks in looking. It's like, what are you gonna do?
The first few times, it's like he's just in the background walking around, and it seems the stuff towards the end of the trailer, he gets involved, like attacking people in the dreams and stuff. So.
And then it gets weird from there. So
yeah,
very interested to check this one out. So it's set to release in the US on November 10th. No Australian release date.
I feel like as soon as you say A24, do you even need to?
It's like yeah, I'll wait for the Blu-ray to come out, I guess.
Be a given.
If I get that. All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, and in celebration of Creator, which has a bunch of robots, this week we're doing top 3 movie robots. Dylan, what's your number 3?
Number 3, I've got Mr. Anderson. Agent Smith from the Matrix franchise is my third pick. Didn't know how literal you wanted to take the robot wording, and considering I assumed it was inspired by the creator and they're very smart AIs, I assumed it was a open open packing. So yes, Agent Smith, obviously definitely one of the most in my mind's most famous robots in any of all films, some of the classic lines and stuff like that. So yeah, start there. Number 3.
My number 3 is TARS, or TARS from Interstellar. Little robot creatures or beings that work with Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. They don't look like any kind of robot you ever see in these kind of movies.
No, but
they're
they
not
look like
humanoid
realistic
in any way.
robots.
Yeah, they're like probably what we're going to end up getting from Boston Dynamics.
Yeah,
it's like 4 rectangles all joined together and move. Just a really interesting concept, interesting way in which they move about and utilize their body parts and that kind of stuff. So yes, delightful. Number 3, TARS. Dylan, what's number 2?
My number 2, I got to be honest, I picked number 3 really fast, and then my top 2 I really struggled with for a while. My number 2, I'm just gonna say Terminator. So I'm just including the T800, the T2000, 10,000, T1000, whatever it is. Any versions of the Terminator is what I'm going with for this one, but predominantly Arnie and the T-1000 from Terminator 2. But yes, that'll be my number 2 pick.
My number 1, T-800. I mean, it's a classic. It's the one that started the $1 billion franchise. One that they've tried to keep chasing. For several years, they've been trying to chase how good Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator 2 were, and failed. But
they tried.
They tried their best.
Good for them.
Dylan, what's your number 1?
Number 1 was R2-D2.
Okay.
I had to pick a Star Wars droid. I feel like I could have just, like, when I think droids, I think Star Wars. Or when I think robots, I think droids, and I think Star Wars, I guess, is my link up there. And R2-D2 is just simply the cutest, most enjoyable one. C-3PO, because he talks, is annoying. So, and R2-D2 has huge moments. He's been, prequel movies, sequels. Like, he's a normal
one. My number 2 was WALL-E. WALL-E wins the cutest robot competition in my mind. I could only put one cute robot, just beating out Baymax as 1 and 2. But yeah, WALL-E, very adorable little creature. Just says WALL-E all the time. And he is trying to save the human race. What more could you want from a robot?
Don't know. I haven't seen it.
What? That's a crazy revelation. All right, Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
The Creator. In a couple hours. So that would be my pick for movie. And then TV show is Gen V. Season 1 starts this week.
Yes. Gen V is my TV pick. Obviously, The Boys spin-off, if you don't know, in which, follows a bunch of super powered teens going to a superhero training university. Looks like it's going to be more of The Boys. Going for that tone without, their cast of characters. So, on the movie front, obviously, have seen The Creator. It's fantastic. Go check it out. I'm looking forward to Flora & Son, the new John Carney movie that's about to release on Apple TV this week. Looks fantastic. Really cool. So I'm checking that out on Apple TV Plus on Friday. Let us know what you want to watch this week by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to the Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.